Professor Glix adjusted her ocular enhancement lenses and stared at the report hovering before her. The holographic display bathed her six-fingered hands in an eerie blue glow as she scrolled through the student application that had just landed in her inbox. Another request to study Earth. These younglings have a death wish, she muttered to herself, mandibles clicking in mild amusement. The sender was Trax Boomy, one of her brightest xenobiology students at the Galactic University of Advanced Sciences. The application was seeking approval for a field trip to observe Earth's biosphere, a planet classified as Deathworld, for on the Galactic Standard Habitability Index. Glix snorted, a sound like air escaping a punctured balloon. 4 billion years of evolution producing creatures with bones made of calcium inside their bodies. And these students want to go say hello. Marvelous. She pressed her communication medallion. VYLL, it's Glix. Gather the xenobiology team. We have got another Earth proposal to reject. 20 minutes later, her office was crowded with her fellow faculty members, all representatives of different species across the known galaxy. Dr. VYLL Tsiushi, a gelatinous mass of translucent blue tissue with 8 eye stalks, oozed comfortably into his specially designed chair. So, bubbled VYLL through his speech synthesizer. Another batch wanting to visit the humans. Just Trax and his research cluster this time, said Glix. They have been obsessed with Earth since that ridiculous documentary series, Surviving the Deathworlds, went viral on the Galactic net. Professor Pixjan, a furry mammalian from the Logi worlds, twitched her whiskers nervously. We should just delete Earth from our database. Too many students getting reckless ideas. Oh, please, drawled Dr. Hapler, a reptilian professor with metallic scales that clinked softly when he moved. The humans aren't going anywhere. Better they learn about Earth under supervision than sneak off on their own. Glix considered this. Hapler has a point. Perhaps we should review their proposal before dismissing it outright. She tapped the holographic display, and Trax's eager face appeared, his green skin flushed with excitement, tendrils quivering with anticipation. Esteemed faculty of the Galactic University, began the recording. I, Trax Boomy, along with my research partners Zia Kilax and Jormanvex, request permission for a supervised observation mission to Sol 3, known to its inhabitants as Earth. Our goal is to understand why this class 4 Deathworld produces such resilient and technologically advancing species despite its seemingly hostile conditions. They have done their homework, VYLL admitted, eye stalks stretching toward the display. The recording continued with Trax explaining their safety protocols, observation methods, and research goals. The students had clearly put significant effort into their proposal. And finally, Trax concluded, we believe this research could benefit interspecies relations as humans edge closer to joining the galactic community. Understanding their unique evolutionary path may help us better integrate them without incident. There was silence in the room after the recording ended. They are not wrong, Hapler said finally. Humans are an anomaly. Most species that evolve on high-gravity worlds with extreme temperature variations, atmospheric toxins, and predator-heavy ecosystems don't develop spaceflight. They stay focused on survival. Glix drummed her fingers on her desk. And you are suggesting we allow 3 undergraduate students to visit this death trap? With proper supervision, Hapler clarified. I volunteer to accompany them. VYLL's gelatinous body rippled with what might have been laughter. You? The one who needed 3 weeks in a regeneration tank after catching a human cold during diplomatic training. Hapler's scales flushed a defensive copper color. That was before we understood their microbial ecosystem. I'm immune now. I will go with them, Glix announced suddenly, surprising herself as much as her colleagues. My exoskeleton can withstand Earth's gravity, and I have had all the immunization treatments. Besides, I'm curious about these humans myself. 3 solar cycles later, Glix found herself regretting that decision as their small research vessel entered Earth's atmosphere. The ship bucked and shuddered against the planet's weather systems. Atmospheric entry is rougher than expected, noted the pilot, a robotic entity named PILF-8. detecting multiple storm systems across the North American continent. In the passenger compartment, Trax and his friends were practically vibrating with excitement. Zia, a slender humanoid with bioluminescent skin patterns, was meticulously checking her environmental suit for the 5th time. Jormund, a stocky quadruped with dense fur and 4 eyes positioned for 360-degree vision, was reviewing Earth's geographic data on his tablet. Professor Tanuri called Trax, his voice high with anticipation. The planetary defense systems aren't showing any activity. Does that mean they're not detecting us? Our cloaking technology is far beyond their current capabilities, Glix explained, trying to keep her breakfast from recycling itself as the ship hit another turbulence patch. Though I should warn you, humans have remarkable observational skills. They have spotted things they shouldn't have many times in our monitoring history. Is that why we are landing in this remote area? Asked Zia, her skin pulsing a curious blue. Precisely. Wyoming's Grand Teton National Park has a low human population density while showcasing multiple terrestrial biomes. Perfect for observation with minimal contact risk. PILF-8's voice came over the intercom. Beginning descent sequence. Brace for gravitational adjustment. All 4 passengers activated their personal gravity modulators, devices that would help their bodies adjust to Earth's crushing gravity. For species that evolved on worlds with 0.3 to 0.7 Earth gravity, the sudden increase could cause immediate cardiovascular collapse without technological assistance. Remember, Glix cautioned as the ship descended through clouds. Earth's oxygen levels are higher than most inhabited worlds. Your suits will regulate your intake, but if you experience euphoria, confusion, or excessive energy, report it immediately. The ship settled into a small clearing surrounded by tall, coniferous trees. Through the viewports, they could see a landscape that seemed impossibly vibrant. Greens and browns so intense they almost hurt to look at, under a sky of brilliant blue. "It's beautiful," whispered Jormund, all 4 eyes wide. "And deadly," Glix reminded them. "Those plants are competing violently for sunlight, water, and nutrients. The green color comes from chlorophyll, which they use to convert solar radiation into energy. Earth's plant life is essentially harvesting radiation to survive." "That's metal," said Trax, using a human slangism he'd picked up during cultural studies. "Speaking of metal," Glix continued, unable to resist a teaching moment. "Humans have an internal framework made of calcium, yes, that reactive element, that they use as structural support. Their bodies are constantly rebuilding this framework as it deteriorates. So they are basically walking construction sites." Jormund asked. "More like self-repairing machines," said Glix. "Now, let's prepare for our first excursion. Full environmental suits, vitals monitoring, and stay within 5 meters of me at all times." The group exited the ship via the decontamination chamber, stepping cautiously onto Earth's soil. The gravity hit them immediately, despite their modulators. Glix felt as though invisible hands were pressing down on her exoskeleton, while the students moved with visible effort. "The air smells complex," said Zia through her suit's communication system, analyzing the filtered atmosphere. "I'm detecting thousands of chemical compounds. Many are produced by the plant life around us," explained Glix. "Earth's biodiversity is one of its most remarkable features. This small area alone contains more distinct species than some entire planets in the outer rim." They began walking along a primitive trail, scanners quietly collecting data on everything from soil composition to ambient radiation levels. The forest around them buzzed with activity, small creatures moving through undergrowth, winged animals flitting between trees, microscopic organisms churning through dead matter. "Professor," called Trax excitedly, "I'm getting readings of a large mammal approximately 50 meters ahead." Glix checked her own scanner. "Good catch, Trax. It appears to be what humans call a moose. Approach slowly and remain behind me." They crept forward until they spotted the creature, a massive herbivore with expansive antlers browsing on vegetation near a small stream. It stood nearly 2 meters tall at the shoulder, muscular and imposing. "Is it dangerous?" whispered Jormund. Extremely, replied Glix. Those antlers can impale predators, and it weighs approximately 700 kilograms. Moose injure more humans annually than most predators on this continent. Zia's skin flashed a pattern of worried yellow. And it's an herbivore? What are the carnivores like? We will hopefully avoid finding out, said Glix dryly. Though this region has bears, wolves, mountain lions, all perfectly capable of, a crack of thunder interrupted her, though the sky remained clear. The moose startled, then bounded away with surprising agility for its size. What was that? Trax asked, tendrils curling defensively. Glix felt her exoskeleton tighten with alarm. That, students, was a human weapon, a firearm. And where there are firearms, there are humans. Back to the ship quickly. They retreated, moving as fast as their gravity-challenged bodies would allow. Just before reaching the clearing, Glix signaled for them to stop. Emissions detected near our vessel, she whispered, checking her scanner. 2 humans are examining our ship. Can't they see it? Asked Zia. The cloaking technology prevents visual identification, but the ship still displaces physical space. They have likely noticed disturbed vegetation or ground depressions, Glix explained. We will circle around and observe them before deciding how to proceed. They carefully navigated through the underbrush until they could see their ship's landing site. 2 humans stood in the clearing, one tall with facial hair, wearing camouflage clothing, the other shorter with long head fur tied back, dressed in what appeared to be research attire. I'm telling you, Rick, something landed here, said the shorter human, kneeling to examine the compressed soil. These depressions form a perfect rectangle, and the pattern of the crushed vegetation suggests significant weight. Could be from that research helicopter that was flying around yesterday, suggested the one called Rick, adjusting the long object in his hands, the firearm that had produced the thunder sound. No helicopter creates rectangular landing patterns, argued the first human. And look at these readings. The electromagnetic signature is off the charts, and there's trace elements here I can't even identify. Glix turned to her students, whose eyes were wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. This is problematic. The female human appears to be a scientist with scanning equipment. What do we do? Whispered Trax. We observe, said Glix firmly. This is a research opportunity, but we must be absolutely silent. Of course, that was the exact moment Jorman's gravity modulator chose to emit a loud recalibration beep. Both humans froze, then slowly turned toward their hiding spot. Did you hear that? Asked the scientist human. Rick raised his weapon. Sounded electronic. Maybe your equipment. All my gear's in my backpack, she replied tensely. The humans began moving toward them, and Glix made a split-second decision. Students, activate your emergency translocation beacons. Return to the ship's interior directly. But Professor, what about you? Asked Trax. I will create a diversion. Go now. As the students reluctantly activated their devices and disappeared in flashes of light, Glix stepped out from behind the tree, in a full view of the startled humans. The scientist's mouth fell open. Rick raised his weapon, then lowered it in apparent shock. Hello, said Glix, her translator converting her click speech to English. I apologize for the intrusion. I am Professor Glix of the Galactic University of Advanced Sciences. I come in peace and scientific curiosity. The scientist recovered first. I am Dr. Elisa Palmer, xenobiologist. This is my guide, Rick Hawkins. Rick still seemed unable to speak, his weapon hanging limply from his hands. You are actually real, Eliza finally managed. All these years of searching, theorizing, you're actually here. Yes, said Glix, mandibles clicking in what she hoped resembled a friendly smile. And I have many questions about your fascinating Deathworld, as you have about me, I'm sure. But first, could you possibly lower that projectile weapon? It makes me rather nervous. Deathworld. Rick finally found his voice. Lady, you're the alien with the invisible spaceship and the bug. Features. No offense. None taken, said Glix. And yes, in galactic classification systems, Earth is categorized as a class. For Deathworld, due to its high gravity, extreme temperature variations, atmospheric composition, natural disasters, and abundant predators. Most spacefaring species evolve in far more forgiving environments. Eliza's face transformed with dawning comprehension. You mean we are the scary aliens? From a certain perspective, absolutely, Glix confirmed. Now, perhaps we could continue this fascinating cultural exchange somewhere my students can participate. They are quite excited to meet you, though also terrified you might accidentally crush them or expose them to your remarkably robust microbiome. As Rick and Eliza exchanged bewildered glances, Glix couldn't help but think this field trip was going to be much more educational than she'd anticipated, assuming they all survived the experience. Somewhere in the ship, a monitoring system pinged with an alert about approaching human vehicles. This was going to be a very long day indeed. Government vehicles approaching from the east. PILF 8 announced through Glix's communication device. Estimated arrival time, 12 Earth minutes. Wonderful, Glix muttered. Just enough time to create an interplanetary incident. Dr. Eliza Palmer's eyes widened. Wait, did your ship just say something about government vehicles? We need to get you out of sight. The authorities aren't exactly known for their gentle first contact protocols. First contact already happened decades ago, Glix said dismissively. Your governments have been aware of galactic civilization since your mid-20th century. They simply agreed to gradual integration to avoid cultural shock. Rick's jaw dropped. You are telling me the conspiracy theorists were right? Partially. Glix clicked her mandibles in amusement. Though their theories about genetic experimentation and reptilian overlords are quite creative fiction. Now, about those approaching vehicles, Eliza grabbed Rick's arm. We need to stall them. Rick, you're former military. Can you intercept them on the forest road? Tell them you spotted a bear or something. Rick nodded uncertainly. I guess, but do it, Eliza urged. This is literally the most important scientific discovery in human history. We can't let it turn into some classified government asset. As Rick jogged toward his vehicle, Eliza turned to Glix. I have about 1,000 questions, but first, can I meet your students? I promise I'm vaccinated for everything humanly possible. Glix tapped her communication device. Students, our position is compromised, but we have a unique educational opportunity. The human scientist appears friendly and has requested an introduction. After a moment of silence, Trax's nervous voice responded. Are you sure that's safe, Professor? Absolutely not, Glix replied cheerfully. But when has scientific discovery ever been safe? Prepare the conference room and activate all decontamination protocols. She turned to Eliza. Follow me, Dr. Palmer. And please try not to touch anything. Some of our equipment can be rather sensitive to the bacteria humans naturally carry. Eliza's face lit up with excitement. You're taking me into your spaceship? Best day ever. As they approached the invisible vessel, Glix pressed a sequence on her wrist device. A doorway materialized in what had appeared to be empty air, revealing a sleek metallic corridor. Decontamination will be somewhat uncomfortable, Glix warned as they stepped inside. But necessary. Before Eliza could respond, a pulsing blue light enveloped her while various gases hissed from vents around the chamber. She coughed, and her eyes watered, but her expression remained one of wonder. That killed approximately 67% of your microbial passengers, Glix informed her. Quite impressive for a single treatment. Your personal microbiome is remarkably resilient. Just like the rest of us, apparently, Eliza replied, looking down at herself. So we are really considered dangerous aliens to the rest of the galaxy? Not dangerous so much as impressively durable, Glix explained as they moved deeper into the ship. Humans can survive conditions that would kill most sentient species. You endure temperature variations that span over 100 degrees on your Celsius scale. Your bones break and then heal themselves. You can lose limbs and continue functioning. You can be poisoned and develop immunity. Most remarkably, you can be pierced with metal objects and often survive with primitive medical intervention. When you put it that way, we do sound kind of terrifying, Eliza admitted. They entered a circular room where the three students waited nervously. Trax's tendrils were rippling anxiously. Zia's skin was flickering in patterns of cautious yellows and blues, and Jorman stood with all four eyes fixed on the human visitor. "Students, this is Dr. Eliza Palmer, a human xenobiologist," Glix introduced. "Dr. Palmer, meet the brightest troublemakers from Galactic University, Trax, Zia, and Jormund." "Incredible," breathed Eliza, clearly fighting the urge to approach them more closely. "Three completely different evolutionary paths. Are you all from different planets?" "5 different planets, actually," corrected Trax, his voice gaining confidence. "Professor Tanuri is from a silicate moon of Zavis Prime, while I'm from the methane swamps of Bull. Zia evolved on the oceanic world of Lumina, and Jormund is from the twin worlds of Jotmir." "5," Eliza questioned. "Jormund species evolved simultaneously on binary planets," explained Glix. "Quite rare, but fascinating from an evolutionary perspective." A loud alarm suddenly blared through the ship. "Perimeter breach," announced PILF-8. "Multiple human vehicles have bypassed intercept and are surrounding the landing site." "So much for Rick's distraction," Eliza said grimly. "We need a plan. If those are military or intelligence personnel, they will secure this site and classify everything." Glix's exoskeleton shimmered with stress coloration. "Our mission parameters strictly forbid formal government contact without proper diplomatic protocols. If we are detained, it could set human-galactic relations back decades. Not to mention ruin our academic careers," added Zia glumly. "Wait," Trax's tendrils suddenly perked up. "What if we don't hide? What if we use Dr. Palmer to introduce us to a wider human audience? If enough ordinary people know about us before the authorities can establish containment protocols, they can't possibly keep this secret." Glix stared at her student. "That's either brilliant or the worst idea in the history of xenology." "It might work," Eliza said thoughtfully, "especially if we live stream it. Once something's viral online, even governments can't completely suppress it." "But Professor," Jormund interjected, "wouldn't this violate the non-interference directive?" "Technically, this falls under the academic research exemption," Glix replied, mandibles clicking rapidly as she thought. "And there's precedent from the Xyrillian incident." "The what now?" asked Eliza. "Before your time." Glix waved dismissively. "PILF-8, prepare for emergency relocation. We need a high-visibility location with maximum transmission capabilities." "Computing optimal coordinates," the pilot responded. "May I suggest the human gathering known as Comic-Con, currently taking place in San Diego? Our database indicates it would provide excellent cover, as many humans there are dressed as fictional alien species." "Perfect," exclaimed Trax. "They will think we're just wearing really good costumes." Eliza blinked in surprise. "You want to reveal yourselves to humanity at Comic-Con? That's actually kind of brilliant. Nobody would believe they were seeing real aliens." "How far is this San Diego?" asked Glix. "About 1,000 miles," Eliza replied. "We will be there in approximately 2 minutes," PILF-8 announced. "Please secure yourselves for atmospheric transit." As they strapped into their seats, Eliza's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and grimaced. "That's Rick. He says there are men in suits asking very pointed questions and showing government credentials. Whatever we are doing, we better do it fast." "Don't worry," Glix assured her as the ship hummed to life. "Fast is something we excel at." The ship rose silently from the forest clearing, its cloaking technology rendering it invisible to the confused government agents now swarming below. In the distance, Rick was being questioned by men in dark suits, gesturing wildly toward where the ship had been. "Poor Rick," Eliza sighed. "He's never going to be able to explain this." "We will ensure his safety," promised Glix. "Galactic University has protocols for these situations. He will receive memory adjustment compensation and a healthy research grant." "You're going to erase his memories." Eliza looked horrified. "Goodness, no," Glix replied, shocked. "That would be barbaric. We will simply help him process them in a way that won't result in him being institutionalized when he tries to explain a bug professor and her students kidnapped an American scientist." The ship accelerated rapidly, pushing them back into their seats as Wyoming disappeared beneath them. Within moments, they were crossing Nevada, the landscape a blur below. Approaching San Diego, announced PILF-8, calculating optimal landing zone. "This is insane," Eliza muttered, though she was smiling. "I went from collecting soil samples to flying in an alien spaceship to Comic-Con in less than an hour." "Wait until you experience our food synthesizer," Jorman said, all four eyes blinking in sequence. "It produces nutrient cubes that taste like pure mathematics." "That doesn't sound appetizing," Eliza laughed. "It's not." All three students replied in unison. The ship descended toward the San Diego Convention Center, its sensors identifying a suitable landing spot on the roof. As they touched down, Glix activated the ship's extended cloaking field, a bubble of perceptual manipulation that would allow them to exit without the ship becoming visible. "Now," said Glix briskly, "we need to integrate with the human gathering while maximizing our exposure to recording devices. Dr. Palmer, you'll need to help us navigate the social protocols." "Well, first we need to get inside," Eliza pointed out. "The convention is ticketed and security is tight." "Not a problem." Zia's skin pulsed with confidence as she adjusted a device on her wrist. "My multiphasic projection field can create the illusion of appropriate credentials." Trax was practically bouncing with excitement. "I have studied human popular culture extensively. This gathering celebrates narratives about space travel, extraordinary beings, and impossible technologies. We will blend perfectly, perhaps too perfectly," worried Jormund. "What if everyone assumes we are just wearing elaborate costumes?" "That's exactly what we want them to think initially," explained Glix. "We will establish ourselves as particularly impressive cosplayers before revealing the truth during a suitable panel discussion." They exited the ship via a gravity tube that deposited them gently on the convention center roof. Eliza looked around in bewilderment. "How do we get in from here?" "The doors to the roof are probably locked." Zia flashed an amused pattern across her luminescent skin. "Physical barriers are rarely an obstacle." She waved her hand over the door's electronic lock, and it clicked open immediately. "That's definitely illegal," Eliza pointed out. "We will file the appropriate trespassing compensation later," Glix assured her. "The university has an excellent legal department." They made their way down through the service corridors until they emerged into the bustling convention hall. The scene was absolute chaos. Thousands of humans in various costumes, elaborate displays, booming sound systems, and dazzling lights. "Oh my!" Jorman's four eyes widened simultaneously. The sensory input is overwhelming. Indeed, the students were visibly struggling with Earth's gravity combined with the convention's sensory assault. Glix adjusted her exoskeleton to more rigid support settings. "Remember your training," she instructed. "This is merely an extreme environment adaptation exercise." As they moved through the crowd, they began attracting attention. Convention goers pointed, took photos, and complimented their costumes. Several asked for pictures with the alien group, which Glix permitted with scientific detachment. "This is amazing," whispered Trax. "They are documenting us extensively without realizing what they are recording." "Humans have a remarkable capacity for self-deception," noted Glix. "They will rationalize the most extraordinary evidence to fit their existing worldview." "Speaking from experience?" asked Eliza with a raised eyebrow. "We have been monitoring Earth for centuries," Glix admitted. "Your species' ability to explain away the unexplainable is unmatched in the galaxy." They approached the convention schedule board, scanning for opportunities. Eliza pointed to an entry. "Look there. Open mic, Sci-Fi Creators Showcase in Hall H, starting in 20 minutes. It's for independent creators to pitch their original concepts. We could sign up and get stage time." "Perfect," declared Glix. "We will present ourselves as creators of a new immersive experience about galactic academia." They made their way to Hall H, where a harried-looking event coordinator was managing the sign-up list for the showcase. "Hi," Eliza approached confidently. "We'd like to present our new immersive sci-fi experience. It's called Deathworld University and features hyper-realistic alien costumes and props. The coordinator barely looked up. Sure, whatever. You have got 5 minutes when your turn comes. No pyrotechnics, no live animals, no touching audience members without consent. As they moved to the waiting area, Zia's skin rippled with nervous energy. 5 minutes doesn't seem adequate to revolutionize human understanding of the cosmos. You'd be surprised what humans can process in 5 minutes, Eliza replied. We are adaptable. Yes, agreed Glix thoughtfully. That's precisely what makes your species so remarkable and terrifying to much of the galaxy. You adapt at an accelerated rate compared to most sentient life. They watched as various presenters took the stage, humans pitching novels, comics, games, and films about aliens and space travel. The irony was not lost on any of them. Finally, their turn came. As they took the stage, there was a murmur of appreciation from the audience for their costumes. Eliza stepped up to the microphone first. Hello, everyone. We are here to introduce you to something completely new. This isn't just a sci-fi concept. It's a revelation about our place in the universe. She gestured to Glix, who stepped forward. The professor's mandibles clicked rapidly as she surveyed the hundreds of humans watching. Greetings, Earth dwellers. I am Professor Glix from the Galactic University of Advanced Sciences. These are my students, and we are conducting field research on your planet, which is classified as a Class 4 Deathworld in Galactic standards. There was appreciative applause and some cheers from the audience, who clearly thought this was part of a well-rehearsed presentation. Your species is unique in the known galaxy, Glix continued. You evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme temperature variations, toxic atmospheric components, and an abundance of predators. Yet instead of merely surviving, you have thrived, developed technology, art, and are on the cusp of interstellar travel. A voice called from the audience. The practical effects are amazing. How did you get the mandibles to move so naturally? Glix clicked her mandibles in amusement. These are not effects. I am not human in a costume. I am a genuine xenobiologist from another world. To demonstrate, she extended her middle limbs, appendages that had been tucked against her thorax and hidden by her academic robes. The crowd gasped, then broke into enthusiastic applause. Incredible puppetry, someone shouted. The hydraulics must be insane, called another. Eliza took the microphone again. Folks, this isn't puppetry or costumes. These are genuine extraterrestrial beings who have been studying Earth. I'm Dr. Eliza Palmer, xenobiologist from the University of Wyoming, and I only met them 2 hours ago when they landed in Grand Teton National Park. The audience laughed appreciatively. Someone near the front called out, Great backstory. Love the commitment to the bit. Trax stepped forward, his green tendrils waving in frustration. Your species is remarkably resistant to new information, he noted. Perhaps a demonstration? Before Glix could stop him, Trax activated his gravity modulator's emergency override. His body rose slowly from the stage, hovering 3 feet in the air while his tendrils spread in a striking display of bioluminescence. The audience went wild with enthusiasm. The wire work is invisible, someone shouted. Hollywood-level effects. This isn't going as planned, Jorman noted, all 4 eyes blinking anxiously. Worse, hissed Glix. Security personnel are approaching from both sides of the stage. They appear concerned about unauthorized special effects. Indeed, several burly humans in yellow security shirts were converging on them, speaking into communication devices that Zia's skin flashed warning patterns. Professor, my scanners are detecting communications mentioning government agents. I believe Dr. Palmer's colleague from the National Park have tracked our transport signature. Time for Plan B, decided Glix. She tapped her communication device. PILF 8, Emergency Extraction Protocol. Target the main convention floor. Maximum visibility. Acknowledged, came the ship's reply. Arriving in 10 seconds. Eliza looked concerned. What's happening? We are escalating our reveal, explained Glix calmly. Sometimes subtlety must be abandoned in favor of, what do humans call it? Ah yes, shock and awe. The ceiling above the convention floor began to shimmer, as if the air itself was rippling. The cloaking field around their ship dissipated, revealing the sleek, silvery vessel hovering directly above the stunned crowd. For a moment, absolute silence fell over the convention center. Then chaos erupted. Screams, shouts, people pointing upward, hundreds of communication devices recording the impossible sight. "Now that," said Glix with satisfaction, "is the reaction we were hoping for." A brilliant beam of light shot down from the ship, enveloping the aliens and Eliza on stage. Security personnel froze in confusion as the group began to rise toward the vessel. "Are you kidnapping me?" Eliza asked, half joking, half serious. "Certainly not," Glix assured her. "We are simply relocating to continue our cultural exchange. You are our expert guide to human society now." As they ascended into the ship, the convention erupted below them. Emergency alarms blared, people rushed in all directions, and the distinctive sound of government helicopters approached in the distance. Once safely aboard, PILF-8 sealed the entry hatch. "Departure vector calculated. Where shall we proceed, Professor?" Glix turned to Eliza. "That is up to our human colleague. We have effectively shattered decades of careful diplomatic preparation between our civilizations. What would you suggest as our next course of action?" Eliza stared at her in disbelief. "You're asking me? I'm just a field researcher who got dragged into the most significant event in human history." "Precisely why you are qualified to advise us," Glix replied. "You represent scientific curiosity without political agenda." After a moment of thought, Eliza nodded decisively. "The United Nations. If we're doing this, let's do it properly. Address humanity's representatives directly before any single government can control the narrative." "An excellent suggestion," agreed Glix. PILF-8 set course for the United Nations headquarters. "Course set," confirmed the pilot. "Estimated arrival in 7 minutes." As the ship accelerated away from San Diego, Trax approached Eliza nervously. "Dr. Palmer, may I ask a personal question?" "Of course," she replied. "Aren't you afraid?" "Of us, of the changes this will bring to your world, of the potential dangers of interspecies contact." Eliza laughed, terrified, but also exhilarated. That's how humans handle most challenges. A mix of fear and excitement that drives us forward. "Fascinating," murmured Jormund, taking notes on his device. "Emotional duality as evolutionary advantage." Speaking of advantages, Zia interjected, her skin pulsing thoughtful patterns. "Dr. Palmer, why do you think humans evolved such remarkable resilience?" "Most Deathworld species develop specific adaptations. Armor plating, redundant organs, extreme specialization. But humans are relatively unspecialized yet adaptable to almost any environment." "That's the million-dollar question," Eliza replied. "My personal theory is that we evolved as persistence hunters. We can't run as fast as most prey animals, but we can run longer. We sweat to cool down instead of panting, allowing us to maintain pursuit for hours. We are built for endurance, not specialization." "That would explain your species' remarkable psychological resilience as well," noted Glix. "The ability to persist through adversity, to adapt to changing circumstances, to absorb new information and integrate it into existing worldviews." The ship banked sharply as they crossed into New York airspace. "Multiple aerial defense systems targeting our position," announced PILF-8. "Activating countermeasures." "No," Eliza said firmly. "Don't use any technology that could be perceived as weapons. Let them see us, track us, even attempt to communicate. We need to appear completely non-threatening." "The human has a point," agreed Glix. PILF-8 maintain visibility but engage passive deflection only. No counteroffensive measures. They watched on the view screen as military aircraft scrambled to intercept them, forming escort patterns around their vessel as they approached Manhattan. "They are not firing," Trax observed with relief. "Of course not," said Eliza. "They have no idea what your ship is capable of. Nobody starts a fight they're not sure they can win." The United Nations complex came into view, a distinctive set of buildings along the East River. By now, news helicopters had joined the impromptu aerial parade, broadcasting their approach to the world. "Where exactly should we land?" asked Glix. "The General Assembly Plaza," Eliza decided. "It's symbolic and visible." As they descended toward the plaza, they could see hundreds of people pouring out of the buildings, staring upward. Security personnel formed protective cordons, and media equipment was hastily being set up. "This is really happening," Eliza said, almost to herself. "First contact. Official first contact. Technically," corrected Glix, "this is first public contact. Your governments have been aware of us for some time." "Still counts," insisted Eliza. The ship settled gently onto the plaza, its landing struts adjusting to distribute its weight evenly on the human-made surface. Outside, a perimeter was rapidly being established as dignitaries and officials emerged from the building. "Well, students," Glix addressed her charges, "this field trip has certainly exceeded its educational parameters. I hope you have taken good notes, because the final report will be extremely comprehensive." "Will we be in trouble with the university?" worried Jormund. "Undoubtedly," Glix replied cheerfully. "But we have also just secured our places in galactic history. Sometimes academic risk is necessary for progress." She turned to Eliza. "Dr. Palmer, would you do us the honor of facilitating this historic moment? You are, after all, the bridge between our worlds now." Eliza took a deep breath, straightening her shoulders. "I'd be honored, Professor, though I'm probably going to lose my research grant over this." "On the contrary," Zia's skin rippled with amusement. "You have just become the most important xenobiologist on your planet. I suspect funding will not be an issue." As the entry ramp extended and the doors prepared to open, Eliza paused. "You know what's ironic? Humans have always feared alien invasion, beings from other worlds coming to conquer or destroy us. We never considered that we might be the scary ones." "The universe is full of surprises," agreed Glix. "And sometimes the most dangerous-looking creatures are simply different, not deadly." Together, they stepped forward to greet the waiting world, a human scientist and 4 alien academics, united by curiosity about the cosmos and each other. Behind them, on a distant galaxy arm, the Galactic University Administration was receiving multiple urgent alerts about an unauthorized first contact event. The Dean of Interspecies Studies sighed heavily as the reports flooded in. "Tonuri again? I should have known when she requested that field trip permit. Should we recall them?" asked an assistant. The dean considered this, then shook his head. "No, let's see how this plays out. After all, Deathworlders were going to join the galactic community eventually. They might as well start with academia. It's probably safer than beginning with our politicians." On Earth, as Glix and her students faced the representatives of humanity, news was already spreading across the planet. The age of cosmic isolation was ending. Not with an invasion or a catastrophe, but with a field trip gone spectacularly awry.